And now, the man who makes Doctor Who look like a small brown stain. It's
Jason King on Kung Fu Hot Dog.
Okay, folks, so back in 2020, yes, I am looking back at an article in 2020 from Forbes. Now, of course, if you cast your mind back to a year ago, we were all behind closed doors because we had to shield ourselves from the pandemic. Now, Forbes ran this article about the creator of The Punisher who wanted to reclaim the iconic skull from police and fringe admirers. I'm assuming by fringe admirers they mean the police and the army and people beyond, maybe nerdists like me. So I'll get into that. So police and military personnel have adopted the Marvel character, the Punisher's iconic skull, as a symbol of force in recent years. I would say from 2006. But the character's co-creator, Gerry Conway, told Forbes that the character was never meant to symbolize oppression, and he now hopes to reshape the Punisher for this moment in history. The moment in history was, of course, the BLM riots, which followed George Floyd's death. I think this take by Gerry Conway, it's just used to politicize another political movement. That's what I feel anyway. Okay, some key facts that you might want to know. First introduced in a 1974 Spider-Man comic book, the character of Frank Castle, a Marine veteran of the Vietnam War, became the Punisher after witnessing his family being murdered by the mob in Central Park and deciding to wage his own war on crime. And here's the badass iconic cover that they are speaking of. Spidey caught in the crosshairs. The artwork is by Ross Andrew, one of my favorite Spider-Man artists. This goes for a lot of money now if you've got it in grade A condition. So just going back to this article here, the Punisher evolved as the decades went on. In the 1980s, Conway told Forbes back then the character was larger than life, a crime fighter readers living during Ronald Reagan's presidency could identify with, while in the early 2000s, Castle was a deeply disturbed, marginalized, and almost crazy figure. But the character's central behavior, using murder, torture, and coercion, and other brutal enforcement tactics, has remained. With the advent of the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, The Punisher was rebooted in 2014 and included the late Navy SEAL and sniper Chris Kyle among his fans, with the logo appearing in the American Sniper film based on Kyle's autobiography of the same name. So bearing that in mind, there was an article that was published one day ago in Games Radar where the Punisher adopts a new look and a new logo as Marvel teases the inevitable evolution. Jason Aaron returns to the Punisher to reveal the above headline. Jason Aaron, if you don't know, he's the man who gave us Lady Thor. Thank you very much, sir, because Valkyrie obviously wasn't enough. And he also turned She-Hulk, the feminine version, into Savage She-Hulk. That's who he made her became like this over-steroided being that was barely feminine in every way, shape or form. But of course, that got changed recently, so that was a good victory for the nerdists out there. So Jason Aaron will be returning in March 2022 with a new 13-issue Prestige format series, because apparently that's going to pump the sales of Marvel's steadily declining sales in the comic book genre, titled Punisher, that will turn Frank Castle's mission on its head. So Frank Castle is recruited by the Hand to serve their demonic master known as the Beast, thanks to his unparalleled skills at murder. As part of Frank's time with the Hand, he will wear a new logo, don new armor, and even take up a sword in line with the Hand's ninja style. So if you want to get a look at what he's going to be, well, what he was before and what he is now, this is old school Frank Castle. You got the guns on the wall. He's good. He's got a very sparse apartment in New York. I'm assuming that's where it is. Sleeps on the mattress just like I do, but of course I don't have guns in my house. He's got a knife on the table there and bullets and everything else. And that's classic Frank Castle. And this is your new Frank Castle, ladies and gentlemen. He's in Japan, I'm assuming, And check out the logo. Now, I've heard people on YouTube referring to this as the Devil Skull, which I kind of agree with. It does remind me of the Devil's Salute that you get in heavy metal music. It's kind of a version of that. It also reminds me of like a Metallica cover from the 1980s. It's almost like the artist has gained inspiration from that and have repurposed it for this particular design here of the Punisher, Frank Castle. Why Frank Castle is wearing armored shoulder plates, I don't understand that. He's the Punisher. They're kind of making him like a hybrid of a soldier and a samurai, which makes no sense to me whatsoever. Frank just has swords now as his main primary weapons. Gone are the guns, because guns are bad in comics and for your favorite superhero, which is kind of funny because at least in James Gunn's Suicide Squad, we saw characters using guns left, right, and center, which is great. But if you see a character like Loki in the cinematic universe or Marvel, you know, he's happy to throw knives in the air and catch them, when in the UK, knife crime is such a big deal. So can you imagine being the victim of knife crime and you're going to watch your favorite Marvel superhero movie and one of your favorite characters or actors are brandishing knives on the big screen? How do you think that's going to go down, Marvel? Really? You don't have an answer? Okay, just carry on. So, what I think about all of this, I've got a theory, right, that this design might be the catalyst for the live action version of the Punisher that we'll see in a PG-13 MCU film. That's what it's going to be. That's my belief. Now, why do I say that? Because Jon Bernthal recently said that he wouldn't return as Frank Castle in the current state the MCU is in, because he said they are going to make their character goofy. He's got a point, because in the Netflix shows, that guy is absolutely balls to the wall brutal. I mean, that is, I wouldn't say that's the true Punisher, because Ray Stevenson played him in Warzone in 2008, directed by Lexi Alexander, a Palestinian French female director. She did a great job. Whether she understood the character or not, she understood the essence of what made that character violent. Then you had Thomas Jane in the two Punisher films. I'm talking about the 2004 version with John Travolta and Dirty Laundry, which I urge you to watch. Then we had Dolph Lundgren playing the very first live action version of Frank Castle in 1989. That is also a pretty damn good film. So if you want to see what the Punisher looks like before Marvel will inevitably ruin him in 2022, definitely do check those out. Do go to your local comic book store, on eBay, or to a Comic-Con. Pick up things like Punisher Max, Punisher War Journal, Punisher from 1986 by Mike Zeck. That's a fantastic 4-issue run. Get those, see what the character was like before he becomes, well, deconstructed. That's what it looks to me, what they're like they're doing to him, which is a real shame. I guess it's that thing of, well, all good things come to an end. But, you know, we have legacy entertainment, folks. That's why it's legacy. So we can preserve it and talk about it in videos like this. Jerry Conway, he just seems to be really ashamed of what the character has become. But then, if I'm wearing a Skull t-shirt walking down the street and it's based on the Punisher, I don't think people are going to call me out as a supporter of whatever. I'm not going to say the word, because I'm a nerdist. They'll know that I'm wearing it because I'm a Punisher fan. Nothing more, nothing less. So folks, did you enjoy this little video today about what's happened to Frank Castle? He's a man who's lonely now. He's forced to work for the Hand. I don't know what's going on anymore. Will this revitalize? Will this put him back on the map? I don't think it will, but it might. Like I said, the design may be the catalyst for the film version going forward. They have to find some hapless actor who will be happy to step into the shoes of Frank Castle and basically walk around with a water gun just shooting bad guys, and that's it. That's not the version of the Punisher I want to watch. Thank you very much. So folks, don't forget to leave a comment below, smack that subscribe button right in the face, and I'll catch you on my next video, reaction, or review.
You have a gift, Mr. Castle. I assumed the stories that I read in the paper about your attacks on the criminal world were apocryphal.